We need more tools. When you come up this time, we need more tools. Well, you don't have to tell me because I am the tool guy, all right? Well, you wanted a tool? This, by God, is a tool. I realize that looks like something that you could assemble a nuclear device with or put together an artificial heart. But what this is the SRC sight adjustment tool. It pushes sights back and forth in your dovetails. It's a little more class than just wanging away with a brass punch and a hammer, and certainly a lot more repeatable. So if you're at the range and you've got your fixed sight gun and it's shooting one way or the other and you need to move that rear sight just a little bit, you can put this on and adjust it just a tweak. The other advantage of this particular unit is that it allows you to adjust the sights with the slide on the gun. Now, originally I thought to myself, why do I need to do that? But then it occurred to me, thinking some of the people I've seen at the range before and others, they may not know how to get the slide off the gun. But the other thing that it actually does is by clamping down and working with the slide on the gun, you couldn't accidentally clamp the thing so tight that you would misshape the slide, okay, and make it difficult to get on. Actually, how I came about getting this, one of our members called me up and told me that he had purchased one, and he asked if I had seen one, and I said, no, I've seen lots of different sight pusher tools, but I haven't seen this one. So he said he'd spoken to the owner at Sawtooth RC up in Canada, and the guy would really like me to try it. So I called him up, he sent me one. So here we go, SRT sight tool. Now, when you first take this thing out of the box and you look at it, like I just said, you got stuff, you got screws, you got plates and pieces and stuff all over the place, and you're going, Lord God, what is all of this? Well, luckily, you also get a really nice instruction book. You can download these from his website and take a look at it. You'll see the website in the resource guide in the manual, but you've got pictures all the way through. It explains how everything is done. Now, these things, I think we're going for $150, and he marked them down to $137.13. So they're not cheap. On the other hand, they will do a lot of things. Let me show you a couple of things. If you look at this from the rear, you'll see an item right here. What this is the actual sight pusher. Now, this is the other end. If you look up here, this is the end that actually is working on the sight that's in the gun. So each one of these has two ends, as does this, and you'll notice you have different shapes and different widths, and you look at that, they're different as well, which allows you to do a number of different sights on a number of different guns, and it also allows you to do front sights as well, assuming you have a front sight that's a dovetail. So don't clamp it onto your government model and try and move this front sight that's staked. You're not going to be happy, okay? And don't call me and say I steered you wrong. So anyway, that's how that works. The other thing that this does besides that, it allows you to do, besides doing the front sights, you get an extra set of soft jaws here, which go right into the unit. So if you've got a slide that's a little bit different configuration, it's got a step or something in it, then you can work these in on top of it as well. So this is one of those things that kind of fits everything. He mentions that it fits 1911s and Springfield XDs and I don't even know what all, but there was a whole bunch of things. And I spoke to him the other day, excuse me, Glock, thank you, Keith, Glocks. But he spoke to me the other day and said that he has several other of these made up which will work on different guns. So he's always working on this stuff. Let me show you how this works. This is kind of cool. I have already selected the proper, this just exactly fits the sight in our producer's MAB here. Now you'll notice that this is way off center. He got real snippy when I suggested we might use his Glock or his XD or something like that. He said, well, they're already adjusted. So in any event, he gave me the MAB, and this will work. Now, this one happens to have flat sides, but you'll notice that some of these have the tapered sides for the like government models and things that have tapered sights where they're narrower at the top than they have at the bottom. This one happens to fit. So let me show you how this works here. This part goes in and actually holds the rear of the slide. We need to lock the slide open. Okay. Now, gun goes down in here, and the sight is now on that pusher. Let me clamp this down real quick here, because there's something I want to show you. Okay, let me get this clamp from the side here so that we don't go flopping around here. This big lever nut here actually works as a vise, and that's what tightens on the slide here. Now the piece that I put in here goes across the rear of the slide here and locks it down. Let's see if I turn it over if we can get some more. Oh, there you go. There's light on that better. You can see how that locks against the base of the slide. Now, when you tighten those, you want to make sure that you tighten them evenly so that it's clamped evenly across the top there. So let me look here and run those down, which I have done. Now, the other thing you need to do is you have to adjust this fore and aft. Let me see if we can. It's easier to see from this side. What I've done here is I have located this piece right here so that it's directly against the side of the sight, but it also has to be in the middle of the dovetail, because if this butts up against a part of the slide, it's not going to push that sight too well. Okay? So that's in there. We're locked in place. We're exactly where we want to be. Now, they also have a piece here which locks on top of the trigger guard, which keeps the gun from moving around as well. So you don't need to gorilla arm all of these things. As long as they're on tight, you don't need to impress everybody with how tight you can make all the screws. It's not important, and you don't want to break things and spring them out of line. Now, how do we move that? Well, this screw right here is directly in line with the pusher here. Now, if I'm going to push this from right to left, I put the screw in this side. If I'm going to push it the other way from left to right, then I would put the screw in this side. Now, the screw comes with a square head. If you have a, this happens to be an 8mm, but 1/4 inch, and if it's, you need a 12 point. You got to make sure that you have a 12-point socket here and not a 6-point socket, because a 6-point won't work on a square head, but a 12-point will. 1/4 inch or 8mm, they're both essentially the same, and that will go right on there, and you can turn that. Now, we just tighten this up first here. We put this on here and tighten it. It looks like it's about the center now, maybe just a little more. Okay. Now, if I was adjusting this at the range because the gun was shooting a little right to left, then what I would do is I would run that right up against it so it was good and tight, made sure I took out all of the movement, and then I would turn it maybe, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 of a turn, take it off real quick, shoot it, see what kind of movement I got, and then I would know whether I had to go more or less. If I needed to go twice that far, I could just bring another 1/4 turn, or if I needed to go 3 times that far, I could give it another 3/4 of a turn. So, you know, just figure it out. It's not rocket science, and it's a repeatable movement that way. All right? Now, we've moved the rear sight. That's cool. This unit will also work on front sights as well. Let me loosen this up here and loosen this. will work with the unit off the gun. There's a nice picture of it here showing that. And basically what you do then is you use the second clamp right here, and that then goes into position across the front of the slide. Right now, since it's on the gun, we're only using it here, and instead of the clamp on the front, we have the clamp that's, you know, going on top of the trigger guard to hold it in place. Now, if you're going to put it on the front, work on the front side on the gun, then you reverse the whole unit, of course. Again, pick the one pusher that seems to work best, and then when you do that, then the piece here that goes across the top of the trigger guard, then you flip this over so you're working on here instead of the piece out of the top. Okay, and that's essentially how it works. It's an interesting piece. It's not near as complicated as it looks at first sight. It's pretty intimidating when you first glance at this thing, but let's take that off and see what it looks like here. And I'm going to loosen these back here, and then I'm going to take the pressure off of the pusher screw here. And should come right up out of there. And it does. And let us see, well, I think that's pretty close. You can certainly see that on each side here, there's a little bit of the slot showing, and there was no slot showing whatsoever on the right side. So let's slide down, yeah. Okay, and we did that without breaking punches, breaking slides, breaking sights, sweating, swearing, or anything really major. And actually, this was so simple that when Keith looked at the picture, he said, I can put it together, and he could. So there you go. That's how simple it is. So the SRC sight adjustment tool, and it's from Sawtooth RC, $137 and change. I may just have to get one of these just because it is so super cool, and it looks so impressive sitting on my bench. It makes me look smarter having it on my bench. So there you go.
Well, welcome to my gun locker. This month, I'm